I was a couple months out of college, and I thought that the world was mine or something. I thought I could make a difference out of my cubicle.
I was working for a company called Asplin Tree Expert Company. My job was to trim and remove vegetation away from high voltage power lines. I had just graduated high school that summer.
I was sitting in Fowler, California, at my parents' house eating breakfast. I was waiting for my good friend to pick me up so we could go to school.
I was in Pilanesberg, South Africa, working on a game ranch and doing fence maintenance at the time.
I was deployed to Okinawa, Japan. It was my first deployment as a recon team leader. I was in charge of a 6-man recon team.
I was a infantry rifle platoon leader with the 101st Airborne Division. I was a young lieutenant, pretty much fresh out of Ranger School.
It's a Tuesday, and it was a beautiful day in Fort Lewis, Washington, and I was on what I thought to be one of my last long-distance road marches because I was preparing to separate from the military and go National Guard and college full-time.
You know, I was in the military at that point for 3 years, and you know, I was kind of planning on getting out.
Really, there's two worlds. There's the pre-9/11 world and there's the post-9/11 world. And in that specific day, it was just a really bad day, and I wasn't even there.
Somebody came out of one of the nicer trailers and said, hey, somebody ran into the towers with an airplane. Didn't think much of it, thought it might have been a Cessna or something like that. We come into the trailer right as the second 747 hit the second tower. And right then and there, my whole world changed.
As I was walking in, that's when the second plane hit. And there was a gasp, and then it got just suddenly quiet. The whole room was quiet. The whole room is filled with Marines, and it's absolutely silent.
A lot of my fellow Americans now experience the fear and the danger that a lot of us soldiers knew existed in the world, but now is personal to them. And to see the nation mobilize, you know, and go after it and take these guys down, it was pretty inspiring, and I was honored to be a part of it, honored to still be a part of it.
And when I watched that second tower get hit, that moment was really the beginning of my rage. And it was not good, you know. It was something that led me to want to go to war, led me to want to enlist in the military.
Shortly thereafter, I enlisted in the United States Army, quit college, and joined the infantry. And I've been doing it ever since.
At that moment is where my life changed, really. It lit a fire in me that, you know, led me to joining the Marine Corps.
Within a couple days, I was on a plane back to the United States. Within a couple weeks, I was in an Army recruiter's office signing up for the U.S. Army. Within a couple months, I was at Fort Benning, Georgia in Army infantry basic training, which would lead me down a path to become a Special Forces 18 Delta or Special Forces medic, where I would work with arguably the greatest people I've ever met in my life.
It's changed my life in that obviously I wound up staying in the military, making a career, a 24-year career veteran.
I said, the day we get orders to deploy overseas, I'll re-up for 6 years. And I think they thought it was an excuse, and anyways, orders came down, you guys are going to Afghanistan, and I signed that day.
Civilians see 9/11 in the post-9/11 era through a very different lens than do service members. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just different perspectives of how we have moved on from 9/11. The whole idea behind GORUCK is to bridge that gap and to level the bubbles across law enforcement, emergency medical services, service members, and the civilian population. The key to that is that we all come back to 9/11. We all draw that as our starting point, because that is something that we all will have in common forever.
it was an extremely dark and horrible day, but at the same time, it lit a fire in this country that I'm proud of.
I think the events of 9/11 brought people from all over the world, as well as here in America, together like never before.
It's changed me because what I saw being an old school New Yorker, and now is that in many ways it's brought us, that attack has brought us together.
I think about what the legacy of 9/11 is, and I think the legacy is a legacy of service to America and to Americans and to each other. And, you know, that's when we're at our best.
The legacy of 9/11 was unity, and the way it brought the country together and the way it grew me up as a man. Because of 9/11, I am the man I am today.